right. Well, hey guys, welcome to the One Step Better podcast. Today I am the special host, Shelby Betts of the One Step Better podcast, typically hosted by Mike Schaefer. Today in the studio with us, we have a very special client, Miss Susan Tanner. She's the owner of Pink Ribbons. It is a Mastectomy and Lymphedema Boutique. I have done a lot of research on what those two terms mean.
And how to say them.
And how to say them. Did I say them correctly
You
this time?
did.
Oh,
You
awesome.
did.
I think the first time before I ever met you, I was like, hey, I didn't know how to say these words.
Nobody does.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. But today, Susan's going to be with us. In Client Spotlights, we like to share just what your business is doing, how you have grown as an owner, and hear your business story. We have a lot of business owners that tune into this podcast. And so some of the things we always like to hear about is your entrepreneurial moments, if you had them, if you didn't have them, what your business is about. And then, of course, this month is breast cancer awareness. And so as we were kind of thinking through our clients, we thought, who better to have on the show for a client spotlight than Miss Susan. So, Susan, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here. So give us a good idea. What made you start Pink Ribbons? What is the Pink Ribbons story?
Okay. Well, my sister and I, we're 2 years apart, and we were both in the medical field for the last 40 years. She's an orthotist, and what an orthotist is, it's if you've ever heard of an O&P company, let me think about that again, orthotics and prosthetics. They do artificial limbs, braces, your compression garments, those kind of things.
Sure.
And
it's another word I had to look up when I first met you.
Well, I couldn't even say it. And I'm a registered nurse.
Yeah.
So I was minding my own business, working in a surgery center and loving every minute of it. And she came to me and said, I really got this idea. I want to start a boutique just for women because right now they all have to go into the O&P shops and they're in one room getting fit for bras and prosthesis, and the man next door is getting either an artificial leg or diabetic shoes. Very sterile environment.
Absolutely.
Most O&Ps were owned by men.
Sure.
So I said, well, let's just think about that, pray about that, and come up with some things. So we spent about a year. And the company she happened to work for decided manly owned, didn't want to do mastectomy anymore.
Interesting.
And so we waited till he closed his business, that side of the business, and we made him an offer on this mastectomy.
Yeah.
And we thought this is our open door. So we started with about 1,200 square feet. About 2.5 years later, we went to 2,400 square feet. And then 3 years ago, which was 7 years later, we moved to a brand new facility.
Okay.
And we have 4,200 square feet, and we are maxed out.
So we're moving to 8,400 square feet soon, right?
I hope this. No, I'm reassessing.
Yeah.
Everything right now, just kind of saying, can we move this? And
Absolutely.
Space
How much
savers.
can we scram into
yes,
this space?
No, this is a great facility because I designed it exactly to fit our needs. When you walk in our door, 2/3 of the boutique is pink. And that's for our ladies. That's why we started Pink Ribbons. But as time went on, we took on not only compression for them, but lower compression. We brought men in.
Sure.
So I have one little hallway that's gray where my business side is, and that's where we put them in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I imagine even the men that are coming in, they probably don't, it's not as sterile of an environment as some of their past experiences, hopefully.
And it just developed, We started with the very basics, and now we offer quite a few things just to make it nice to come in.
Yeah.
The ladies get their coffee when they come in.
Okay.
They shop for T-shirts and all kinds of trinkets, and they love jewelry. So we just make it a fun experience for them.
Absolutely. So when you started envisioning your boutique and like thinking about dreaming of an experience for women that's positive during such a sad time and an awful time during someone's life, that someone expected to have a need like that. But as you started, working on creating this experience, how did you decide to add additional products, add additional services? Was that out of just what your clients needed, or give me a good sense of how you continued to evolve as you started the business?
When we started just with compression sleeves for lymphedema, and lymphedema is when that lymph system gets altered during surgery or radiation, and they get swelling in that arm. So we always carried that, the bras and prosthesis. And the man that we bought the mastectomy division for decided he didn't want to do lower extremity anymore. So we thought, well, okay, we cannot live by just what we had.
Sure.
If we wanted to grow, we had to take on new things. So we took on lower extremity at that point.
Okay.
But that kind of was defeating our purpose because we were having men come in the boutique, and I didn't want them over there. So we kind of reworked that system over there till we ran out of space. But and then Baptist had a women's shop over by their breast center, and they closed. And they were one of the only wig shops that filed insurance. So that kind of put us into wigs. So we took classes and started fitting ladies for wigs.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long for people to know that we were around.
Absolutely. That's
and so we are the only facility in Memphis that will file insurance.
Okay.
For a wig. So even last week I saw a little 13-year-old from St. Jude. So it's expanded. Then about 5 years ago, we were offered a contract for Tennessee for the pneumatic compression pump, Lymphopress. And so we are exclusive distributors of the Lymphopress pump. So that meant I had to have a rep that traveled the state. So that's when I hired my husband.
Okay.
He was in retirement. I hired him out of retirement. He established the territory for the first 3 years, and he was made an offer by the Lymphopress company to go into management. And so now I have 2 reps, one in Knoxville and one in Nashville, and they split the state.
So you are the exclusive distributor in the state of Tennessee or in the region? Or
in the state of Tennessee and actually Kentucky also. I don't have a rep up there right now.
Sure.
But for that brand, Lymphopress.
Okay. So you mentioned you hired your husband and then he went away.
Yeah.
Right? Got hired somewhere else. That brings up just an interesting conversation. So you mentioned you've started this with your sister. Mm-hmm. I think on your website it says sisters by fate and best friends by choice.
Yep.
What has it been like working with both your sister and even your husband? That's all business owners that start businesses. Eventually family comes in. What's it been like working with family over the years?
It has been a challenge because we are so different.
Yeah.
But we had to learn each other's strengths. I am more of the business owner. She's more of the technician. That's what she did all of her life, was mastectomy fitting. And so I just kind of gave that to her. And gradually we were able to hire enough help for her that I could back up and take the business. So I kind of carry that business and the contracts and the payroll and the HR and just the whole part of the business side of Pink Ribbons. And she works with the fitters and does the fitting. So that has worked well. When you first go into business with a family member, you think it should be 50-50, but you have to learn what those balances are. And when I got over that it wasn't going to be 50-50,
sure,
it works better.
Yeah.
She is strong at that, and that's what she does. And if there's a conflict with a patient that comes in, she gets that because she's good face-to-face with those customers and our patients. So and I take care of the employee part of it. So
absolutely,
it works great. Now with my husband, he just did his own thing. I never had to really worry about him. I was so grateful for what he was doing. Sure. And for the first time in our lives, he was traveling. Yeah. And I'd never had him travel. So when he got offered a management position with Lymphopress, and they were much more financially able to supply for him than I was, I fired him and said, "You're taking this job."
Oh, nothing like being able to fire your spouse and still get along, right?
Yes. But he did a great job starting, and he does a great job with my reps now. He has a special interest.
Of course.
So he takes great care with my guys. I have a guy and a girl out there on the field, and he works with them on a daily basis. So.
Sure. So, family, of course, when you work with family members, there's obviously, pros and cons on both sides of that. It sounds like your experiences have been mostly positive. In terms of like growing the business, so you carry the business, you're the visionary and the executor and implementer for how the business does. Early on, when you were getting started, what were some of the challenges or maybe a big challenge you faced as a startup that looking back, you would tell someone who's thinking about starting a business, hey, maybe tread cautiously in this area? Do you have one of those moments?
Well, we had quite a few because we're insurance driven. All of our income, I would say 95% of our income is insurance. So when you open a business like that, you've got to stand alone until you can get all those contracts in and approval, and it took forever, but we had great people that came to us from the other business and were willing to sit back and wait until we got our Medicare number and we got those contracts with the different insurances. Probably our biggest challenge is that we are kind of a niche business, and there is only one competitor in Memphis.
Okay.
So I can't go out and find a mastectomy fitter. There are none.
Right, absolutely.
So what we had to do was find a woman who was compassionate, who could handle sometimes even a disfigured woman, emotionally wrecked women sometimes, because we laugh and we cry.
Absolutely.
And we had to have somebody that really could be there for the women and then teach them what we know. And that's pretty much what we've done.
Yeah.
We have two great ladies that do fitting with Lynn, and they have that compassion.
Sure.
And they know exactly how to react to them. It's a great experience, and the women love them. They ask for them by name when they come in. So, we laugh with them, we pray with them. They know that when they have surgery, that we're going to lift them up at that time.
Sure.
And I get to fit the wigs, so I see a lot of women in chemo, and that allows me a lot of time to minister. So we use our business as a ministry.
Absolutely.
Also.
Yeah.
One of our reasons we do this, and it's kind of something we picked up. Hope was always on the wall from the very beginning, but we want women to know, in particular, that we're there to give them hope in a situation that they didn't choose.
Yeah.
But we can go generation to generation. We see mothers and daughters. Sometimes we see the daughters first, and then the mothers come in diagnosed later. And the same thing for lymphedema, because a lot of it's hereditary. And it's misdiagnosed, and those people need compassion. They're kind of at their wits' end. They can't find anybody to treat them. And so we do a lot of teaching so these people don't miss out.
Sure.
And so that they use their products to the best of their ability, and they know that that's the way they get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lymphedema side works hand in hand with the mastectomy, although we see a lot of very overweight people that have lymphedema of the lower extremity, so they're coming from a whole different background and their emotional state, and it just takes somebody with compassion and patience.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to manage in a time of crisis, I imagine training, finding the right character fit is probably the most important aspect you look for when you're identifying people. I know we really like Good to Great by, I think I always forget, Phil Collins. Don't remember his name, but he wrote a book called Good to Great, and the primary principle, one of them is if you get the right people on the bus, then the bus is running smoothly. And so we talk a lot about hiring. Every small business every owner in general has an issue hiring. We were talking at lunch, there was a business you had said closed down because they didn't have staff. So I imagine, putting out an ad for, someone to fit for, what did you call them?
A mastectomy fitter.
Yeah, a mastectomy fitter. You're probably not getting a lot of pings on an ad.
I found that out. None. Because there just aren't any.
Sure.
I mean, the only people that have mastectomy fitters are a fitting place. They're our competitor.
Sure.
And we're the only two in Memphis now. So all of the O&P facilities have abandoned the mastectomy side and left it up to us, which is good for us.
Absolutely.
Because we set out to make this a pleasant experience for the women, and so many times it's not. And from our medical background, we were able to do the teaching part of it.
Imagine that positions you strategically in that you recognize that there's a gap in the marketplace. And it sounds like the two of you just had the perfect skill set to slide into this market and really just take it to the next level. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So we mentioned a little bit of challenges. So training paths, hiring is a huge challenge for you early on. What are some of the highs? What's been something that obviously outside of just, it sounds like just being able to impact your patients' lives, your clients' lives. Is there like a specific moment in time where you think, hey, as a business, we've made it, or do you have one of those?
Well, I guess my biggest pride was when we opened the boutique.
Yeah.
And I took 3 bays and drew that out, and I pretty much did all the planning for that. So that was probably my proudest moment. But,
sure.
We have a lot of high moments with just patient reaction. I had an interaction with a patient last week that was having surgery today, and she has a little blog on Facebook, and she shouted out a thanks to me and pink ribbons for all we had done for her and her journey. And just those little things, know that we've made a difference in somebody's life, because that's our whole goal.
Yeah, well, it's to keep people going. That's awesome. Next transition to think through is, something that I have been reading a ton about is owners that have been resilient during COVID. I'm curious, what was your reaction when everything happened with COVID? Because I'm assuming your retail space shut down entirely.
Well, at first we were really worried.
Yeah.
The girls were kind of scared. Nobody really knew what was going on. And we were scrubbing everything clean, and we just decided that we would close. We were essential business. Durable medical is what we're classified. So we could stay open. But the girls were kind of worried about it, and my reps were already at home because nobody let them in.
Absolutely.
So we closed for 5 weeks, and we worked from home. The girls would call patients, and I stayed in the boutique to answer the phone, transfer it over. I worked it out where they could have their phones at home, and we survived that 5 weeks. I mean, we took a dip in our income, but it was nothing to what some of them did. And at 5 weeks, we opened back up, and it was like we'd never stopped.
Really? Is there anything that you learned during COVID, maybe something that you wouldn't have done prior to COVID, but now looking back on COVID as an owner, thinking about the future, if this were to happen again, how would you plan or prepare?
Well, we wouldn't close again. We'd already made that decision. We would not close again. We would get stricter when we first opened, we were strict about who came in the boutique. We didn't want 3 and 4 people coming in with a customer. So we held that down to one person with them, and how many people went back in a room, and we cleaned after every one of them. One of the things I told the girls, I said, a lot of our women that come in are in chemo, so they're immune compromised.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always wear a mask when I fit my ladies for a wig, but they can't look at a wig with a mask on, so I always have them take it off. But just that part of being a little bit more careful that we don't transfer anything to anybody else, we'll always do that for our customers, because our customers, probably 60% are immunocompromised, and we need to protect them.
Yeah.
But we will be there for them. We will not close again. We may have to scale down a little bit.
Sure.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you adapted anything or thought anything through, like your distribution piece? Do you think that COVID has changed the way that you approach that part of the market?
Well, shipping went up for everybody, and shipping was delayed for everybody. And we do a lot of drop ship.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of compression for all the way across the state now that we have the pumps, and there's lack of compression providers. So even getting stuff in, like if I have a lady come in for a wig and she wants particular color, if it's not in stock, it's January. And so we start over. I don't let them go home till I know it's in stock, because they've just lost their hair. They can't wait till January for a wig. So things are slower coming in.
Sure.
And but we've made do.
Yeah, that's awesome. COVID has been a challenge.
It has.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have not asked you that I'm curious about. This may just be for, future owners looking at durable equipment or just, thinking about owning a business in general. What would you say one of the most rewarding things if someone's looking at, hey, should I start this business? Should I, be the visionary, run my business? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I think it's worth it. The rewards we've got from it has been totally worth it. It's a lot of work. And it's expensive. You're never going to get rich. Don't expect it. But that wasn't our mission.
Yeah.
We were out there to help a group of people who were being neglected and bring awareness to breast cancer. Really didn't need awareness. They just needed to be provided for.
Sure.
And there's not a breast cancer survivor that can't be taken care of either through their insurance or foundation. We do want to spread more awareness about lymphedema. It is underdiagnosed, and they don't have the funds. A lot of insurances don't cover for compression garments, and they have to wear those every day.
Yeah.
So just bringing awareness for lymphedema is a big deal for us. Support groups. You have a lot of breast cancer support groups, but the lymphedema support groups, that's an incurable disease. It has to be managed. And if they don't manage it, then they can't function.
Sure.
So all of that put together, money can't buy everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's worth it when you get a hug and tears of joy and thanks from the people that you've helped. That's worth all of it.
Yeah. We always say around here, start with your why and you can figure everything else out. It sounds like you guys have got the why nailed pat. It's just down. So.
Well, we've been blessed so much through all of this, and we feel like if we continue to do what the Lord set us out to do, that He will continue to bless us and allow us to serve these people.
That's awesome. Well, there you have it. It's Miss Susan Tanner. Miss Susan, that now just transitioning, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I would say, two things. Obviously, this is your time to kind of give your shout out. So if there is somebody in the city of Memphis that might need your services, what would you say to that person, or what service would you like to highlight to be sure that people know about you and Pink Ribbons?
Okay. Most all of the things that we offer are insurance reimbursable. Especially for our breast cancer women. For compression garments, we carry compression garments from head to toe. Doesn't matter if you have lymphedema, if you just have swelling, if you're traveling. We have a lot of different brands, and they come in stripes and argyle, and they're just not beige and black anymore. They're
patterns.
Cute. Yep. If you got to wear them, they got to be cute.
That's right.
And they got to be fashionable. So there are options out there. If you have any questions, all you have to do is call. That's what we do at the other end of the line. Women who are getting ready to have mastectomies, a lot of times they get left out and don't get the opportunity to have a garment right after surgery. Talk to your doctor about it. Just call us. We'll take care of your prescriptions for you and contact your doctor. Any questions you have, all you have to do, and our number is 901-417-6060, Pink Ribbons.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today, Susan. We're grateful to have you.
You're welcome.
Glad you're a client. And if someone were to follow you, do you guys have social media, Facebook, Instagram? Where should they go to find you?
Well, I'm not too good at social media, but we are on Facebook, so you can follow us, and we have a website.
Okay.
PinkRibbonsMemphis.com.
PinkRibbonsMemphis.com, and your physical location if someone wants to stop by.
6295 Summer Avenue, and it's Suite 105, but if you can't see that big old pink ribbons, you don't need a suite number.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Susan. Grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
All right.